Hello, everybody. I'm talking about forest ecosystem services, and it's very interesting because we have a discussion with Bart, and he said it's an aspect of the forest that is very interesting to speak about, because the ecosystem services is a new approach, not a new but effective new approach to have in mind where to protect existed forests in the Alpine space. We are three for this project of Cerema team who are working on this this method. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, it's good. I don't know.
It's possible to have a larger view.
Top right corner, maybe.
Top right.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we have a biais, I don't know if it is the right word, in this this study, because we only studied 6 forest ecosystem services. But it's a beginning of a work, and we hope that this work can serve all the team to continue this approach for the Alpine Space forests. So we identify hotspots of forest ecosystem services to better protect the forest areas in the context of climate change. So it's very important to know where the hotspot, the forest ecosystem services hotspots are, to be able to manage the risk of these forests to face the climate change. So our methods are in 3 steps. We create a raster forest in the Alpine space. You can see in the next slides what we do. Selection of ecosystem services to be assessed, and mapping forest ecosystem services hotspots. Our goal is to show to stakeholders, and this is very important, to know how to communicate about these results to the stakeholders, and that the stakeholders have a good decision to manage these forests that provide a lot of ecosystem services. Oh. Okay, with the flash. So many projects worked on assessing and mapping ecosystem services. So it will be possible to generate with these results, with these other results of other projects, maps at 100-meter resolution. This is why we get in contact with all the team to be able to mobilize all the data sets. So I thank David Geneletti that gave to us one of his data sets.
Is it from the University of Trento?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned him. Yeah, and his team produced an important article that is called Mapping Hotspot and Bundles of Forest Ecosystem Services across the European Union. So with this start of work, we could provide an approach in the Alpine space areas. So we selected 6 ecosystem services. We try to have one ecosystem by function. So we have 2 ecosystem service selected for regulating, and this is CO2 sequestration, CO2 storage, Three, of course, I don't know to count. Protection of areas against rocks falls. And you can see in this presentation that the data, where, from what project the data are provided. For provisioning forest ecosystem service, we work with a project that is called Global Biomass, and all of our methods is we can share all the methods that we used with other team, so to be able to complete what we have started to do. For cultural affairs, forest ecosystem service, we try to mix several results. So we can see that we use the naturalness, protected areas, and we try to summarize it, the distance of the site to closest road and the closest residential area. So it's very, we must have a large mind to be able to assess and map ecosystem services. And at last, we try to have provisioning of habitats that for us it will be interesting to have in a map. So at the right of the screen, you can see our results, and it's very difficult to understand this result if you don't have a comparison with the footprint of a person. So to communicate, we must use simple idioms to be able to I don't know how to communicate. It's better. So a map of hotspots of multiply forest ecosystem services at 100 resolution could be a stakeholder decision support for different scenarios with the climate change. We thought that, you said that where are NNT in this presentation, but for us NNT is one of the tools to be able to face to climate change, and it's only the one, but it's one of the tools, and we can't put outside the monitoring of the forest this sort of approach. So at the first step of our work, we study the area of Alpine Space, and precisely the forest area. And you can see that 42% of the area is covered by the forest. So it's an important ecosystem in the Alpine Space area. As a reminder, I can talk to you about the definition of ecosystem services, and especially for the service flow, that is actual quantification of the service provided by the ecosystem under consideration over a given period of time. It is very important to know the definition, and you can see in the previous project of Interreg Alpine Space, we have provided a wiki Alps, and where you can find all the definition of ecosystem services and all the functions that is provided by the forests. So you have two of our 6 forest ecosystem services studied are the CO2 sequestration and CO2 storage. As you can see in this definition on the screen, the difference between these two approaches. So at least you can see what we provide in terms of mapping. So you can see where the hotspot of I have sequestration CO2 sequestration and stock, where there is the hotspot of these two ecosystem services. And when I say that it's very important to show stakeholders this sort of map that they will be able to understand that it's very important to keep on these areas the forest because of the provided ecosystem services. To communicate, it's very important to have in mind what is, for example, a carbon footprint for, I said an example that I know, it is a French person. A French person emits 11.2 tons of CO2 equivalent per year. So it's very interesting with our results to show what is, where the forest could equilibrate the carbon footprint of a French person. Another ecosystem service studied is rock falls, protection areas against rock falls, and we have this data from a project called Rock the Alps. And so you can see that about 11% of the Alpine Space forests could provide this sort of protection for the Alpine Space people. And then we have studied the timber where exploitable forests are the most interesting to have a good exploitation. So you can see that in where you see the color are the most darkest, or the most dark. You can see that it's where the production is the most important for exploitable forests, of course. And then we have studied the recreation. It's on the outdoor recreation activities, and you can see where it is very interesting to keep the forest for this ecosystem forest, for this ecosystem service. And then the last forest ecosystem service that we have studied is the provisioning of high quality natural habitats. And then simply we use the data from EUCN, where you can find the protected areas with a large definition. So you can see that 33.57% of the Alpine Space forest is provide this sort of ecosystem service. And then we try to overlap the assessing and mapping of the 6 ecosystem services to have a sort of bundle of ecosystem services in the Alpine Space area. So we have mixed the 6 ecosystem services, and we obtained at last these bundles of ecosystem services. What is the definition of a bundle? The bundle is defined as a set of associated ecosystem services that are linked to a given ecosystem and that usually appear together repeatedly in time and or space. So you can see in this map, and as I said at the beginning of my presentation, it is very important to find the good word to communicate about these results. And this is not very evident to find this, to be able to communicate with the good words. So at the end of this presentation, that is very short in comparison of the others, it is the beginning of our work, and we'd like to share these results. We have spoken with Florian to try to mix his results with us, to be able to provide sceneries with the climate change, and we don't find the time to do this. Perhaps in another project we could do this. In this uncertain situation of the climate change, an adaptation of management is needed, which aims at ensuring that Alpine Space forests continue to provide their goods and services without major interruptions. So several levels are strategic for short and long-term adaptation, including the development of research and development on existing and new species as non-native trees. And there, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, this is one of the tools that could be used to preserve the forest ecosystem services provided. So thank you for your attention.